Warning, the following podcast contains coarse language and spoilers for the film and the title of the podcast. Now hit me with that theme.
Now playing movie reviews in 20 Qs.
Hello, and look at you, sitting there. You think you're good people. You're not good people. Trust me, there's no such thing as good people.
That's a weird intro when you think about it.
That's the first line of this fucking film!
Yeah, I forgot about that. But, what if you're watching it by yourself? You think you're good people. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And can you see now why I have a question at the end?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for later on the podcast, everyone, but one of my questions is who the fuck are you supposed to root for in this movie? When the narrator starts off by saying you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. You're a people.
I used to be like you, thinking that working hard and playing fair would lead to success and happiness. It doesn't. Playing fair is a joke invented by rich people to keep the rest of us poor. And I've been poor. Not as poor as Stacey Hurley for marrying me. How are you, Stacey?
Yeah, poor me.
Poor you.
I'm super excited to be here.
That's good. It doesn't agree with me because there's two types of people in this world. The people who take and those getting took. Like Kahu. How are you, Kahu?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Happy to be back.
Have you been gotten took a few times? I know I've taken you a few times, but
yeah,
have you been gotten took?
I've been gotten tooken from many a time.
I've heard you've been getting tooked a few times.
We sound like we're delving into Lord of the Rings territory here.
I've got no idea where to fucking start with this film. It's a 2020 film, stars Rosamund Pike as Marla Grayson, Isaac Gonzalez as Fran, Peter Dinklage as Roman Lunioff, Diane Wiest as... Diane Wiest as Jennifer Peterson, who is basically Roman's mum. Chris Messina as Dean Erickson, and one of my favourite actors in the world. I'm talking about Isaiah Whitlock Jr., aka She.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's enough. We get it.
Yeah, it took me a little while to place that guy, but yeah. Moving along.
Judge Lomax. Isaiah Whitlock, of course, being from one of my favourite TV shows, The Wire. Here's a bit of trivia for you guys. This is a Netflix original film, yet we had to watch it here in New Zealand on Amazon Prime.
Isn't that bizarre?
It's really bizarre. Dan from Netflix and Swirl is probably sitting there right now chucking some facts at me, Dan right now is sitting there ready to chuck some facts at me when I horribly, brutally describe what happened here. But I'm suspecting that the production company that was making this film sold it to Netflix, but at the time they sold it to American Netflix, and maybe they had distribution rights to, other markets around the world.
Yeah, my understanding is that films need to negotiate with the New Zealand government about what can be shown here. It's true. I read an article about this.
Jay, hello. Is that Jacinda Ardern? It's Quentin Tarantino here. Hey, I've got a new film I'd like to show in New Zealand. G'day, mate. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Fair enough, bro. Sweet as. Where do you want to show it? Do you want to show it in any of our 2.5 cities?
Shut up.
Yeah, because it's correct, Day, that American Netflix is very different to New Zealand Netflix.
Oh, we've got about 10% of the content.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Which is probably why I subscribe to it 10% of the time.
Looking at the reviews for this film, we have an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, we've got a 66 on Metacritic, and we've got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Our new rule is whoever's watched it the most recently has to give a plot of the film, but because just before we started recording, Stacey said, please don't make me do the plot. She's doing the plot! Stacey, what's the plot of this film?
Oh, God. Okay, so the film centres around Rosamund Pike's character, Marla Grayson, and her partner in business and in life, Fran. Why has Fran only got one name? Anyway.
She's like Cher.
And they run they run a guardianship business where they can become state-appointed guardians for seniors or those unable to look after themselves and their care, and if they have no family and who can do that. And while they're at it, they just take everyone for a ride and sell all their assets and make a bit of money on the side. It's completely illegal, but sounds horrible.
Yeah, so that's like the basic plot. But for those of you out there that want to listen without watching this movie, what's the rest of the plot?
Well, it turns out that one of their marks, Jennifer Peterson, who seems like a little old lady with no heirs, no sons or daughters or any family.
No ears.
Where did that come from?
We see her wearing sunglasses. She definitely has ears.
Yeah, it's a bit slow there.
So was I. This is why we shouldn't record this late at night, guys.
Okay, so she has no immediate family. Which they refer to as a cherry in this film. I'm not sure why. But anyway, so that's a really good thing because obviously they can take her for everything she's got and there's no one there to defend her or catch them out.
Because cherries are ripe for the plucking.
Ah, there we go.
Oh, they never did explain that, but I assumed it was along those lines.
Anyway, the story just keeps getting more ridiculous and more ridiculous as things go on when it turns out that Jennifer is part of the Russian mafia.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage, aka Roman Lunyol's mum. And then it basically becomes a cat and mouse game between Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
She locks up his mum in a care home and he keeps trying to get her out. And it just escalates and escalates. Probably the best way to describe it.
Yep, that's it.
Eventually culminating in the two becoming best friends and starting an organisation together before she gets gunned down in the street.
Did we say spoiler
Spoiler.
alert?
Oh, no, I've got a new thing on the start of our podcast. So
Okay.
yeah. For those of you that are new and haven't heard this podcast before, what we do is we review a movie by asking 20 weird and wonderful questions about it. We start with 10 that can be applied to any film. We then move into 3 personal questions each before finishing on either a listener question or a Patreon question. And this week it's a Patreon question because we kind of threw this episode together a bit willy-nilly, given that I was supposed to be recording Justice League, Zack Snyder Cut, and thank God I'm not. I'm doing this with these two wonderful people, so...
Wow, you'd have to do like a 3-hour podcast for Justice League.
Oh, God. It would culminate in the sound of a gunshot and my brain's exploding on the wall behind me. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the one that we always start on, which is the sandwich question. So it could be a compliment sandwich, hyperbole sandwich, or a shit sandwich. Shit sandwich if we give this a score under 5,000. Compliment over 5,000 out of 10,000, and then hyperbole as a score over 10,000. Kahu, why don't you lead us off? What is your sandwich?
Okay, so a good thing about this film. I mean, it's pretty obvious, really, but how good is Rosamund Pike? I mean, she basically just does Amy Dunn 2.0, but it's fantastic. She's just got that knack of going from really charming to just utterly ruthless in a heartbeat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Bad. On the flip side, I thought her nemesis in this film, Roman, was very underutilized. Peter Dinklage is obviously a very talented actor, and I mean, maybe I was just thinking too much about the scheming he does in Game of Thrones, but I just think it could have been developed a lot further, a bit more about his backstory, and
Yeah, I can dig what you're saying. Yeah.
And final good thing, I really like the scene when Jennifer, who is Roman's mother, she's a bit like away with the fairies and all the drugs she's on in the rest home, and Marla comes in to see her, and Jennifer just mocks her for the trouble that she's in for the whole situation. Yeah, I thought that was really great.
Cool. As a score out of 10,000 diamonds.
Yeah, I didn't love it as much as I did Gone Girl.
Okay.
And I thought the pacing of the movie kind of lagged a little bit towards the end. I still enjoyed it though, so I'm going to give it I hate giving 7,000 type scores, but I'll go...
It's too easy to pick, eh?
Yeah. I'll go 7,400.
What about you?
I'd watch it again, potentially.
If you have enough time.
I'm on the fence.
Okay, I'm also going to give this film a compliment sandwich. I totally agree with Kahu's first point about Rosamund Pike. She smashed it, was the perfect casting. Nobody else could have done this role. But I'm going to be more specific and point out how wicked her hair, makeup, and wardrobe were for her character.
Yeah.
A yellow suit. Come on. Who have you ever seen pull that off?
Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
Yeah, exactly. That just shows how good it was.
Bruce Lee in Game of Death.
I did have a potential question of
The mask.
like something to do with how Rosamund Pike looked, but I didn't really feel comfortable with having it as a question. But yeah, that
You're
haircut,
allowed to have a set of testicles, Carl.
that haircut was so severe.
Yes, the sharp blonde bob and
all
those-
business.
Yes, and a lot of her outfits were just very sharp and angular looking. Like her dresses were figure hugging, bright red. I actually read some trivia about her wardrobe for this film. A lot of her dresses were from Victoria Beckham's collection. And now that I know that, it seems kind of obvious. They do kind of look like Victoria Beckham style things. And apparently Rosamund just went round there, picked them up, put them in her suitcase when she was in London and flew them back over with her for when
right.
she came to film the movie.
Oh, so it's not like a line of Victoria Beckham clothing. It's a legitimate...
No. Yeah, it is her fashion brand. And the woman who was in charge of creating the wardrobe picked out the items and Rosamund just brought them over with her.
Oh, right.
So that was my first good thing. My bad thing was the completely preposterous survivals of people who should have been killed. There were many of them in this film. And that's kind of links to what Kahu said about the pacing. So as the film goes on, these ridiculous things happen and you're like, for goodness sake, that would never happen. That person would have died by now or something. That just totally lost the movie for me. And my final good thing is I loved the storytelling and the way pieces of information about each character was revealed to you over time. So at first, you kind of would side with a character and then you find out something else about them and be like, okay, no, they're not so great. And more as the movie went on, it was very destabilizing, unusual for a story, but it was quite clever.
Out of 10,000 diamonds?
6,210.
Okie dokie. Cool. On to me. My first good thing is the first half an hour of this film is some wickedly interesting and well shot and acted filmmaking.
Yep.
The first half an hour, you're like, this has really got me hooked and I'm really interested. Unfortunately, the shit thing is that the second or the hour and a half that follows it, the more crazier it gets, the more I lost interest in this film. I legitimately got more and more bored, even though the story got more and more crazier. And my final shit thing, that's right, shit sandwich, fuck this film.
Hang on, your first thing was good.
Yeah, and that's where it ends for good things. There's only one good thing.
Okay.
I wanted you to at least take a bite of the sandwich and buy it and get out of the shop before you fucking realise that I've sold you a shit sandwich.
Okay.
Yep, it's shit sandwich for me. But I'm with you in that it's like it just becomes more and more preposterous as it goes on. Like it just gets ridiculously stupider and stupider. But as you're watching it, you're like, the character wouldn't do that. Why is that happening? There was just too many of them. And coupled with the poor pacing. So my score, I mean, I don't hate it, but at the same time, probably 4,100. I wouldn't watch this again. I think I'm done with this movie. I'm probably done with this podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. See ya. These two are going to take over now.
Oh, this is going to be fun then.
Yeah.
It could be. No, I'm going to hang around. Fuck it. But we'll move us over to question 2, which is the first of our Patreon questions. The first of which comes courtesy of Julio of the Contrarians podcast, a podcast in which they rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine. So they argue why a beloved film is crap, or argue why a crap film should be beloved, and then they do real talk, and you find out exactly how they feel about the film. It's a great podcast. You guys should all go check out their recent episode on Showgirls. Top notch. Good work, Julio. And what would he like to know there, Kahu?
Thanks, Julio. Julio's question is, what's your most controversial opinion about this film?
So this film makes out like Marla is incredibly intelligent, smart, and witty, and at every turn she is one step ahead. She can come up with something and she knows what's going on. Yet, in reality, she's a complete dumbass. She has got no personal security at any point, and she is so incredibly egotistical that she doesn't believe she even needs any. Even right at the end, or even more so at the start, when she gets pretty much death threats from a lawyer. A gangster, clearly, it wasn't said in that scene, but it's insinuated that something very bad could happen to her, and she's like, meh.
Yeah, my controversial opinion is if you guys go back about a minute or two or however long in this podcast, you can hear me biting my tongue while Kahu was saying that this was an awesome performance by Rosamund Pike.
Yeah.
Wrong.
You didn't like it.
Oh,
Stand to this performance of hers.
All right.
There are so many scenes where I was like, you are the female Nikolis Cage. Like, you are just overacting and hammying it so much.
But we
There's-
love Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I do. I love Nikolis Cage. I love him. I expect more from Rosamund Pike. You know?
Yeah.
Well, you just need to get on board with this.
I don't. No. There's that one scene where she confronts Diane Wiest and she's like being really mean to her, and then she just starts doing this like bizarre head flick. It was like, you listen here, bitch. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's exactly what I was hearing. I was like, this is like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, there is an element of phoning it in.
Not phoning in. This is faxing it in, emailing in, phoning it in, carrier pigeoning, smoke signals. This is like literally bombarding you with 1,000 different messages. It was like, I need to stand out from Amy Dunn. Amy Dunn was a cold-hearted sociopath. I need to like be like Amy Dunn, but I'm just going to be like, well, what's the different
Really
version?
sassy.
I'm going to be real sassy. I don't give a fuck if you kill my missus. I don't give a fuck. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm not even there's scenes where I look at Peter Dinklage and he's sitting there with just this like bemused look to his face, and I was like, I bet you he's sitting there going, that's the choice you went with? Okay. Interesting.
I can see a new question coming on here. How would you incorporate Rosamund Pike into this film?
Only if we do Nicolas Cage movies. I would love to see Rosamund Pike opposite Nicolas Cage in a scene. God, give it to me. That'd be cinematic bliss. That would be Sam's Oscar every year. Sam's Oscar pick. Anyway, yeah, it was controversial. I didn't like her in this film. Sorry.
Ooh. I just thought the ending was a little bit too convenient, wrapping up all the ends. Yeah, and that's to do with how the film sort of drops off a little bit. I think the point it drops off is kind of around where the thugs go in to try and rescue Jennifer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, I'm out of this movie.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but yeah, I just thought the ending was a bit too convenient. But then I thought, maybe Roman arranged all of that. It's like it's not that far fetched. I mean, she's the figurehead of the company, but I just sort of feel the way he is, I don't think he would have really kind of forgiven the whole thing with his mother.
No. No.
Yeah.
Of course not. Like, this guy's a cold-hearted, ruthless gangster.
Yeah.
Want to be business partners? What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's,
But
obviously money hungry, which
Yes,
is cool.
in one way they're using her for their own financial gain. So, like...
Yeah, okay. So, potentially, yeah, they would have got her set up, done what she's doing, and then once they realised that she was replaceable, they probably would have axed her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you were saying before, she's smarter, well, she thinks she's smarter than she
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Question 3, also a Patreon question, comes courtesy of Chris Yenny. What is it there, Stace?
What song would you have inserted into this film and where?
So we're talking about on-the-nose songs. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train would have been one that I was thinking about, and then I was thinking, well, what's more on-the-nose than that? So I'm going to go with, we gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do. And of course, talking about Alexei, that's his name, the blonde guy, and his two mates when they started shooting their way out of a retirement home.
He was like a...
Don't you shit on my MVP. He was one of my good things in this film. He was one of the few performers. As soon as he was taken out of the picture, I was like, I'm out. Fuck, he was my only guy in this movie that I actually liked.
He was like the stormtrooper gangster.
Pretty much.
That's a good description.
I went through a scene and it stars our friend Alexei again. Oh no, it was when the lawyer couldn't pay off Marla.
Yeah.
And Roman's chucking stuff around his office. And I would have gone with the song Maniac by Michael Cimbello.
Ooh.
Interesting.
The Flashdance song, of course.
Maniac.
Yeah.
Yes, that would have worked really well.
Cool.
Okay, I'm going for a Queen classic, Under Pressure. And it's going to be the scene where she is in the car accident. and she's literally under huge amount of water pressure.
Oh my!
But also,
Please continue. This is fucking bizarre.
but also, what a stressful situation. She's got to get herself out of it, and it just gets crazier from there.
Is it coming down on her?
The only way that could have been better would be if that was the song actually playing in the car when she went off the edge.
Yes, exactly.
Oh God, I love you, Stacey. You never change. Question 4. This comes courtesy of Dave Baker. Dave has his own Patreon at patreon.com/your favorite. On it, he posts a cornucopia of creative content. Essays on Medium, stuff like that. Oh, there's just tons of good stuff on there. Go check it out at patreon.com/your favorite. And this week, his question is, which character from this film would have the biggest social media following and on what platform?
I am going with the Romans' lawyer, Dean Erickson,
Also,
Damn it!
because he's such a
also going,
sleaze.
yes. He's everyone's answer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he would
Chris
be
Messina, he's the
all over Tinder. He's just got that. He's just got.
Suppose that's a social media platform, eh?
Yeah. He's just. Oh, he'd be so sleazy. He does that like lean back thing on his chair,
Yes.
and just like is all kind of got the big grin on his face, like he's in control of everything.
Just a massive shit-eating grin, eh?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
like he's stolen it from Ben Affleck. Just this massive shit-eating grin of just, I'm the man.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting a slightly cornier twist on him, and I just can't help but think of Saul Goodman when he starts going, he's just this kind of, he's a gangster's lawyer, for goodness sake. And so he's going to have annoying YouTube ads that pop up every time you try and watch something.
Yes.
He's selling his services
Yeah, he does.
to other gangsters.
He does seem like he'd have a lawyer's office in behind like a nail salon or something.
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, it is common knowledge that like gangster lawyers, like their number one place for obtaining new clients is from YouTube. Because that's what
yes.
gangsters do, is sit around watching YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And that's exactly how they get caught nowadays. How the mafia syndicates get taken down is just they just see who has the most rampant YouTube video watching. I would have just gone with Twitter. I could just imagine him just on there just trolling people. Like people love following trolls. Just makes too much sense. Question number 5, also a Patreon question, comes courtesy of Mr. Nick Haskins of Nikolis Kitchen, a cooking podcast that's going to have Stacey on very soon.
Once I've figured out what recipe.
Yes, what recipe? They're going to cook Stacey's favourite meal and then talk about it. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Nick also has a promo at the end of this for Livestream for the Cure, an event that we will be involved again with this May, I believe. Yep, this May. Yep, really looking forward to that. And what's his question there?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. The question is, what type of meal is this movie, Stacey?
Okay, so this movie is very long, and
It's only 2 hours. I've watched fucking Snack Zyder. Who the fuck is Snack Zyder? I've watched Zack Snyder's fucking Justice League.
no. So for the story, it is long and protracted, but it's given to you in small bite-sized pieces. So this is a... What are you laughing about?
Yeah, you like small bite-sized pieces of things that are long and protracted.
So this is a 27-course degustation menu where each course is only like a tiny little bite, and it keeps coming and coming, and the things get weirder and weirder as they go on, and you don't want to eat anymore, but the waiter keeps bringing these little dishes over to you. And you just don't know what to do with it anymore.
Yes,
That's what meal this movie is.
Here is a chocolate chip biscuit sautéed in tuna mixed with peanut butter Marmite and seasoned with
black pepper.
And just like, I don't think I'm going to fucking enjoy this.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm on a similar vein to you. I went with a kebab because
Kebab.
Yeah.
Kebabs are messy and saucy and juicy and delicious.
this movie gets messy. But here's the thing about a kebab. Have you ever had a bad kebab?
No, not really.
I lived in England. I've had a bad kebab.
Oh.
And you don't know you're having a bad kebab with the first couple of bites. But when you discover you've had a bad kebab, is usually during the second 2/3 or 3/4 of it, you've realised, hang on, this kebab probably wasn't actually for me and I don't feel very well. That's what this film is. It's a bad kebab.
Sam will like this one. It's KFC with a side of caviar.
What the
Ooh,
Because she's pretty greasy and slimy, but she likes to have this kind of this veneer of being quite sort of clean and by the book.
And luxurious.
Yeah.
And elite.
You've talked me around, Kahu. I was thinking, fucking gross. Who the hell wants to eat caviar? But yeah, okay. You talked me around. Question number 6 comes courtesy of Emily Higgins of the Tasteless podcast, a podcast which compares 2 movies. One that is pretty much universally beloved, is Oscar nominated. People just can't stop talking about it. She compares that to a movie that doesn't get the love she thinks it deserves. She's coming on very soon, April, I believe, to do Cruella with Stacey and Liz. Oh, look at Stacey's face. Just scrunched.
We'll see what that's like.
Just scrunched like she's just been kicked up the arse.
Is that even coming out in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at you trying to find escape clauses. We're already trying to get out of it. Anyway, what's your question there, Stace?
Okay, Emily would like to know, what movie would you pair with this one to make a double feature?
Ocean's 8.
I don't really understand that. You're going to have to explain.
Well, they're both about con women, and I feel like maybe comparing this to a bland movie like Ocean's 8 will make me appreciate this movie more.
Oh, burn. You know
'cause
Sandra Bullock's in that movie.
Yeah, I know, and Emily's probably
Yeah, she's going to be upset.
sending me death threats and making a little voodoo doll that she's going to start stabbing pins into.
I don't even think those 2 movies exist in the same universe.
What do you mean? Like this universe? Yes, both of those movies have come out.
No, that's what I'm saying. They don't.
I'm not. They don't need to. Oh my God! Here's the Stacey answer.
No.
Stacey,
No. I'm like, I just don't understand that double feature.
well, it's just a double feature. You watch one movie, you watch the next movie. It's
Yeah,
like-
right, okay.
Yeah, they don't have to be related to each other.
True. Okay.
Have you always been answering this question like they've got to be set in the same universe?
No, they don't have to be set in the same universe.
Okay.
Parallel universe.
Yes. I feel like I'm in a parallel universe at the moment.
I would have this movie to follow the movie Devil that Chris Messina's also in.
Oh, yes, he plays Detective Bowden in Devil.
Yeah.
I love that film.
Because you'd watch Devil because the antagonist is a bit mysterious until the end.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's not. The whole way through.
Sure, makes sense.
Hey, Sam,
Very logical.
you're in no position to take the piss out of other people's answers.
I mean, it's
Fair.
it's conceivable that this film also had elevators, so universe.
And Chris Messina's gone from being a by-the-book detective to just being a dodgy lawyer. I can see that.
It could happen. Courtroom related.
I've just thought of a new answer for this, so I'm going to give you 2. I've got 2
What?
double features. Devil Wears Prada
Okay.
and I Care a Lot.
Oh, you're kidding. I Care a Lot's your other double feature. I thought you were just going for a whole new double feature.
I thought it was going to be like 4 films.
Yeah.
And then
Same. I'm like, where the fuck is he going with this?
it'd be a quadruple feature.
Okay, and
Do we need to let you have a little nap?
This
Yes,
is
you
more
do.
like a double feature squared.
no, that's option A, and then option
Is this an
B.
exponential feature?
Option B, which was my original one, was I wanted a movie about caring where the people actually did care, and that's why I'm going with the fundamentals of caring.
Oh, yes.
It's a sweet little road trip movie where, what's his name?
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd actually cares about this kid and takes him to do some bucket list items, and one of them is seeing a giant big hole in the ground.
Here's some movie reviews and 20 Qs trivia. That was actually the very first podcast that we recorded.
Yes, it was. Did we ever release
No,
it?
never made the light of day. It was like our road testing. We were like, no one would ever give a
practice.
shit about this film, so let's... No, it's not a popular film. No one's probably going to care.
Let's give a shit about this film.
Let's try, see how it can. And it worked. It worked. And then me and Spanky tried one of the Star Trek films, I think.
Release the Spanky cut.
Release the Spanky. Oh, you want to see uncut Spanky. That's what you want to see.
Oh, no. No.
Fuck no. He should not be released ever. And that moves us over to question number 7, now that we're done with our Patreon questions, except for one that will come at the end. And there's a lot of answers for this, but what was the most preposterously insane leap of logic in this film?
I touched on it earlier, but that a crime lord would have such comically inept henchmen.
Yes.
It was laughable at times. The rescue scene was just so slapstick. It was just like, we're just going to turn up here, grab her, and walk out the front door type thing.
Yeah.
It was just
Pull a gun.
Yeah. There was just no thought behind it.
But even Roman is like preposterously stupid. Like, she gets out and starts running towards the car, and he just sits there. He doesn't say to the driver, "Oh, hey, go drive over there and pick her up."
Yeah.
Like, he lets her try and do like a 50-yard dash across the fucking car park.
Yeah.
And then just stands there watching her. I'm like, come on, bro.
Yeah. And the fact he was so easily kidnapped as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Car parking buildings are clearly a bad place to be, clearly a weakness in a security system. But, jeez, just take a couple of thugs with you everywhere you go, always on your shoulder.
Yeah, especially when you know that something's going down. Although he doesn't know that she hasn't died at that point, does he?
No, he
thinks
doesn't.
that everything's done. But, hey, talking about preposterously stupid, let's just answer my answer right there, which was dragging her, putting her in a car, pumping her full of alcohol, and then sending her careening towards a lake. Sure, makes sense. What doesn't make sense is this woman just snaps out of it and has instantaneous reaction, goes full fucking Michael Phelps, and manages to hold her breath and swim about, I don't know, 50 meters through a lake and get up the other side. For those of you who haven't seen it, she wakes up from her drug-induced nightmare, has full control of her faculties, manages to slam into this lake, kick a window out, unhook her seatbelt, and then just swims just for a minute.
Well, you do know that adrenaline beats alcohol every time.
Yeah, but it's not alcohol,
Maybe.
It's drugs.
Yeah.
Look, how many times have you woken up from your drug stupor? Are you in any control of yourself? No, normally.
Yeah, I've never been in a sinking car, though.
So you can't be
I can't be sure.
I'll tell you what, we're going to find out in 45 minutes, Kahu, and it's going to be the most craziest fucking night of your life. Have you got a will? Who cares? We're out of here. According to you, you're going to make it, so you don't need a will.
Okay, I've got a couple, but this...
Yeah, the whole movie's got a couple.
This might sound like very small, but it's very preposterous. That after all of that car crash, swimming, blah, 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 she still has her phone and means to pay for things at the convenience store on her. Like a card or cash. Or she's got cash, doesn't she? She brings out... How does she have cash in her phone after that?
I feel like she doesn't have her phone, or does she have a phone? I can't remember. But she's like, yeah, I'll give you $50 if you let me use your phone or something like that.
Well, she's got a phone. She calls someone...
It was the guy's phone, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
she took it off.
She offered the guy $50,
Okay, so
even though she's just standing there in her bra.
Okay, so where did the cash money come from?
Her prison wallet? Somebody's watched Deadpool 2 recently. Question 8, what is it there, Kahu?
Question 8, what was the biggest dick move of the movie?
This is hard, but I think I need to raise this because I'm not sure if it's going to come up. But Judge Lomax being just unwittingly involved in assisting her with all of her crazy schemes. He just agreed with her on everything in every court case, in every situation she got ruled in favour of.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you've got a repeat offender in front of you, you know what I mean? Like you look at the common denominator, she's constantly coming up with the same charges against her, the same arguments. Like this woman is not letting me see my father, mother, whatever.
Yeah.
Like surely you're going to get to a point where you're like, shit.
Yeah, the last 30 people who have been in here have been saying the same thing.
Exact same thing over and over again. Yet she's still able to just, rock up and be like, no, I'm like totally normal. It's fine. It's okay. I needed to sell a house to pay her bills. It's okay.
Yeah. How big are the bills?
Yeah.
This is supposed to be court-appointed guardianship, not a profit-making endeavour.
I know we've got a question about this later on, but yeah, I agree. It's crazy. And like you hear about this all the time of people just like, coming into people's lives and getting people to rewrite their wills and shit like that. It's
It's
nuts.
very sad.
So there's a point early on, and Marla's surveying her wall of assets, and someone tells her that one of them's died, like within a couple of weeks of going into care or something, and she's like, shit.
Yeah, only got 6 months out of him.
Yeah, we'll have to pay the rest out to the family, and it's just total dick move.
Haven't had time to drain him completely.
Yeah.
All I can think of is like Fran. Like, how would you be in a relationship with someone like this? Like we talked about Ready or Not, like how they discovered the family's a bunch of murdering sociopaths. Like Fran would have met this woman, fell in love with her, and then slowly got to learn all of this stuff.
Well,
and yet at no point she's gone, what the fuck am I doing?
I mean,
how can this person love me? How can this person I'm with actually love me if she treats all these people like disposable income, basically?
Yeah, but there's a few scenes where Fran is just kind of just as bad as well and happy to go along with it.
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre. Anyways, my one was basically everything Marla does to Jennifer. So everything that Rosamund Pike does to Diane Weist's character. Because she starts threatening her, making her life traumatic and horrible and everything like that. And it's like nothing that she's doing to her is going to get back to Roman. Like she's threatening her like, I'm going to make your life a living fucking hell. It's like, why? You're not going to get anything more out of this by doing this. In fact, you're just going to piss off a guy even more, to the point that when his mother gets out and goes, like, oh, hey, by the way, I've started a business with her. Oh, okay, son, this is what she did to me. Oh, okay, well, yeah, fuck that bitch. As soon as we've milked her for what she's worth, we're going to murder her. You know what I mean? Like, why do you need to do the stuff to her? I felt like it was just, like, it was completely unneeded.
Yeah, she was already held captive.
Yeah, what more do you want?
That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
She could have let her have a happy life, enjoying herself in there, and then she probably wouldn't have minded so much.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, that moves us over to question number 9. What is it there, Stace?
What deep philosophical debate arose in you during this movie?
How could she find this many dodgy people so quickly? By the end of the film, we see that she's established this company where she basically has 1,000 carers over America that take care of these people, and the implication is that she is using all of these carers to milk these people for what they're worth. How do you find 1,000 dodgy people, set up the connections with doctors, with judges, with police, with everybody so quickly?
Well, that's where Roman comes in, right? Because we're assuming he's part of a bigger gang. It's not just him.
Yeah.
So he's got a network established, potentially.
So you reckon he's probably paying off cops and...
Yeah, they would be all over the place. So they're just doubling down.
And then finding, like, court-approved carers who are just like, yeah, you know what, like, I got into this job to take care of people, but you know what, I don't give a fuck about people anymore. Why not just milk them for all they're worth?
I don't think those people know what they're doing. It's kind of like a pyramid scheme. Like, they're signing up thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity to have a really good job. And, it's, and those people probably do care, right?
They probably do. They're probably trying to do their best.
They probably don't realise that all the paperwork they're filing, someone in the background is just skimming all the money off.
Yeah, they won't have anything to do with the assets or anything like that. Yeah.
It's not a pyramid scheme, though. It's an inverted triangle. Is it in The Office? I can't remember what that's out of.
Oh, yeah, like the conjoined triangles of success or something?
Something like that,
That's Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, that's right.
Yeah. With the,
Love it.
Funny.
Okay, Kahu, what about your debate?
I just wondered if you had Marla having one of your loved ones in one of these types of facilities, like at what point would you just give up, Like you're getting beaten by the law and the court at every turn. Yeah, at what point would you just give up, or would you do what that guy did? I can't remember his name. It's like
Feldstrom.
Oh, Feldstrom. Yeah, and just go after her in the end.
Down.
Yeah, because you're just at your wit's end. So
it's a tough debate. I mean, like, how much do you bankrupt yourself trying to fight this shit?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, my debate was similar, but it wasn't on that personal level. It was just on a systemic level. Just could not believe that this could be an industry, that guardianship, court-appointed guardianship, can even exist as a thing. Sure, I understand that, yes, in extreme cases it might, but not for profit. Not so her business clearly is partially legal, but mostly not.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea of this guardianship, I don't really know what my debate is, except for I just find that whole concept incredibly shifty. And I just kept wondering, does this exist like this in America? Because it's not something I've really heard of.
I mean, it's conceivable, I think, that it could exist. I mean, what we know of
Yeah,
the American legal system through movies that we watch.
exactly. We need Al Woods to step in here.
I think for a lot of carers in America, they'd probably be really happy this film isn't even more popular. That isn't one like an Oscar-nominated film or anything like that. Because imagine if you got into caring and that's all you did, and then a film like this comes out, and then suddenly everybody thinks you're dodgy.
Yeah. Yep.
Anywho, that moves us down to our final question that can be applied to any film, which is, what's something from this film that you guys noticed that you don't think other people might have immediately noticed?
In films, male nurses in care homes and psychiatric facilities and all that kind of thing, they're always like bouncers. They're just like...
You're right. They're always tanks.
Yeah. Like, it's as if they've blown out of the NFL or something and they've ended up working in rest homes. It's like, in a rest home, obviously, this is a unique set of circumstances in this movie, but in most situations, who are they trying to keep out? And it's not as if they have to try and keep them in. I mean, they're old and frail. It's like,
It's so true. It's in so many films.
Yeah.
It's like they've got to have the big tough orderly to come running in. What would be quite funny is if you were an actor in Hollywood and you were a big muscly dude, and how you're like, oh, I get to be biker in the background, or I get to be thug that gets beaten up by a good guy, or all this other shit. And then one day your agent rings you, he's like, mate, I've got a part for you. You're never going to guess what it is. And you're like, what? And it's like, you're going to play a medical professional. You'd be like, holy shit, are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to be an orderly in a fucking retirement village.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Not a doctor, nothing like that.
Yeah, they're all on the roids.
Well, something I noticed, you won't be surprised to hear, was about Rosamund Pike's wardrobe.
Oh, I noticed her wardrobe as well when she was in her bra in the petrol station.
Yeah, that got Sam momentarily reinterested.
Yeah.
No, what now?
So late in the movie, we see Roman, he's in the ICU. Marla turns up to chat to him. She's got her feet up on the bed and she has two different coloured shoes on. One is yellow and white and the other one is yellow and black. White and black,
Correct. I never would have noticed that.
That's funky, though.
They were very high, pointy stiletto shoes. And I actually Googled this to find out if I was just seeing things or not. And it is correct. They are Jimmy Choos. And you can buy some if you want mismatched shoes.
Do you? Do you want me to buy you a pair?
No,
Is that why you brought this up? So that I can turn you into my own little Rosamund Pike?
No, I couldn't walk in those shoes. They're too tall and spiky and pointy.
Do you reckon actresses learn how to walk in high heels? Learn how to run in heels and shit?
Yeah, totally.
They must do. The thing that I noticed is that Fran comes to pick her up at the end from her, like, she's just done a TV interview, right? Done a TV interview, talked about the business. Yes, I'm only 39, I've become a billionaire, all this other shit, right? Fran picks her up pretty much after she finishes the TV interview and then is like, hey, how you going? And then Fran goes, you did amazing. How the fuck would Fran know? Is Fran watching her on the TV in her fucking car on the way to pick her up? How the fuck would Fran know?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe she's live streaming on her phone. But yeah, that seems implausible.
We don't see her doing that. We see her driving a car. Just,
because she's probably done quite a few of these interviews too, so it's not like the first time, oh, look, I'm going to be on TV, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just general moral support for your partner. It doesn't matter if she went shit. As her partner, you're going to say, that was amazing.
I'm seriously calling into question every time you've been supportive of me. Did you actually enjoy my book? Did you actually like the speech I gave about us at our wedding?
Yeah.
Do you actually love me?
You smashed it, Sam. I just gave a eulogy at a funeral.
Yeah. What was the best part about my book? Well, I love the love story between... There's no fucking love story!
I'm just saying, for these characters.
Our relationship's unraveling. You don't care a lot. You care a not.
Oh my God, Sam. Okay, you are unraveling personally.
Yeah, no fucking
Okay.
shit. Welcome to the last podcast of Movie Reviews in 20 Qs.
Yeah.
I'm going to be committed to a psychiatric ward soon, and Stacey's going to milk me for all my money.
It won't take long.
Hey! I don't know. My GameStop shares are going up in value, and then down in value,
down.
and then up in value, and then down in value. Anyhoo, over to our personal questions. What do you got, Kahu?
Yeah, so at the end, Roman has a business opportunity for Marla to go into partnership. Would you take that opportunity if you were Marla, or would you try and force him to pay the 10 million?
Look, I'm the most risk-averse person ever, so I'll take the 10 million, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this. He's going to be done with her in no time.
Yeah.
I would not trust him.
Yeah.
Although she is a dumbass, so maybe, yeah, I would, if I was her, the dumbass, sure.
I feel, I personally, I'm the same answer as Sam. I'd just take the money and run because you don't want to be close to that person. But that's me personally. But I feel that Marla had to take that opportunity because this is her dream. She wants just more. You know, like 10 million is not going to cut it for her. But either way, I don't think she's off scot-free. You're still going to have to watch your back with your 10 million in the bank, you know?
Well, she'd just have to keep him drugged up if she didn't take the 10 million. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
One thing that we seem to have gotten is when we were watching this film, we actually talked about how stupid it is when they come to these characters, how they are like, oh, did you remember the passports? Oh, no. And it's like in every single film that we watch of these, like these American films, at no point do they think any other country out there in the world might actually be better than America.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I've got to stay in America.
Yeah.
I've got to stay here. I've got to do a runner and live in America. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got millions and millions and millions of dollars, there's like thousands of places in Europe that's great, in the Pacific Islands that are amazing. There's countries all over the place. Don't come to New Zealand. But there's places that are really awesome that you could go to that you'd have a way better life in. Like, you wouldn't be looking over your shoulder every fucking second of the day.
Exactly.
Insane.
She just loves the hustle.
True.
My second question, what is the one feature of Rosamund Pike's acting that makes her such a great sociopath on screen?
I realise now that my answer has nothing to do with her acting, but it's her cold, dead eyes.
That is her acting, surely.
Oh, yeah, because she makes her eyes look like cold, dead shark eyes. I suppose
Yes.
she does. I suppose she creates a non-comforting facial expression around the outside of her eye holes that make her look like she's a cold, dead shark. She just goes into this, like, merciless killer. Like, look, what's that?
Yeah, it's like a bit of a trance type look, where you can sort of see that all the empathy's disappeared.
Yeah. There's, like, literally no one home of any human emotion inside those eyes.
For me, it has got to be her voice, that kind of deep, neutral accent. But this deep kind of huskiness of it is just so it doesn't match with her physical appearance in any way.
Yeah, it's kind of soothing and unsettling at the same time, and it's
Yes.
really off-putting.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It'd literally be like the type of voice that you could hear on one of those meditation tapes that you listen to put yourself to sleep.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, it just suddenly takes a turn. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? It's
Yeah,
nightmares.
she's hypnotizing you and over to doing things you don't want to do.
Now deep breath. Now breathe out. Now send me your mother's maiden name as well as the last 4 digits of your...
yeah. The primary school that you grew up in.
What was the first name of your childhood pet?
What was the second name of your child?
yeah.
You guys didn't give your pets 2 names?
Sorry, Mr. Biggles.
Man, your poor pets. They would have had like fucking personality disorders. Yeah.
So my final question, do you think Marla fell into the scheme and just kind of saw it as an opportunity, or do you think she planned everything from the outset?
That is quite a nuanced question because I think personally before she got into this industry, she was clearly looking for some kind of scheme like this to become rich. And I don't think you could fall into it. There was a lot of planning and thinking and preparation, and she might have even done some legal study, whether or not she's a lawyer, we don't know. But she certainly behaves like one, and there's a lot of research to be done. So I believe it was planned that she would be doing this scheme outside the legal framework of what her kind of cover job is supposed to be.
I just feel like she's a drug addict. So she's had a little bit at the start, and she's just got off on it, and now she just wants more and more and more and more. So she never started out to be like this, but I feel like she's said that she's been poor before. So I feel like she's gone through shit, and she's just worked out, this is the easiest way for me to make money, and I'm good at it, and then it's just got worse and worse and worse and piled on to the point where she's just rolling with it a bit, but at the same time, she's just out to fucking screw people over.
Yeah, I reckon that she's probably been at court for something maybe, which isn't out of the realms of possibility, and has maybe had a conversation or overheard somebody talking about, it's so stressful being the guardian for 50 people or whatever, and she's gone, what does that mean? And then she's looked into it and gone, I can make something of this.
Yeah. And that moves me over to my questions. How would you guys have extracted your mum from the care home if you were Roman?
I would definitely have used more people, but a very...
You don't think sending 3 dumbasses is a great idea?
No, not really. You need to find some slightly more smart people to do that job. I thought the ruse was good. Yes, we're here for a tour, da-da-da. Okay, cool, great, you get in there. But you needed a lot of decoys. And what do we know to be an amazing decoy, which would scramble the whole staff across the whole facility, is 32-year-olds.
What?
I like your thinking
32,
there.
a girl who's 32 or a guy that's 32?
Release the toddlers.
Yeah, toddlers. Yes, exactly.
You basically want 30 of our daughters in there.
Yes, because they go in there to chat to the old people. They go, their little buddy daycare group goes down there for the day to chat to the oldies and make them feel happy and all of that kind of thing. And shit goes crazy. Kids everywhere. All the staff are completely tied up trying to sort out all the toddlers, and there's no one for backup.
Yeah, I think the juiced orderlies would actually struggle with that. I think that's a good idea.
They would.
Yeah.
It's
a great idea.
What about you, Kahu? What do you got?
Yep. I'm going through the ducts in the ceiling just like Tom Cruise, complete with Mission Impossible music, but not with Jean Reno lowering the ropes. Fuck you.
What do you got against French people, Kahu?
He was just useless.
Yeah, he was just useless.
It's a mouse. I can't handle it.
I think, and I hate to bring him up because his character's name was Sam, and he was a sleazy, wormy little man that ran the hospital or ran the retirement village, whatever, the care facility.
Yeah. He's the manager, yeah.
He's the weak link. She's give me $5 million or whatever, or, and that sort of shit. And he's just I'm not going to give you that. Are you insane? The lawyer. I reckon if the lawyer had gone to him and said, hey, we're going to give you $300,000 for that woman, the woman that this other girl is only paying you $2,000 a month for, of course he's going to take that money.
Yeah, just turn a blind eye. You can just excuse it on security and no one's the wiser.
That's your weak link. It's not her, it's him. You've got to find the weak link and exploit that. Okie dokie. Moves me over to my next question. At what point during this film would Marla have realistically been murdered, and at what point should she have just done a runner? I mean, we've talked about this a little bit throughout this podcast, but what do you guys reckon? At what point do you reckon she would have been murdered, and what point should she have bailed?
Surely after the doctor's killed, then you'd go, yeah, this has been a good run. I'll go somewhere else and do something different. Go to a different town, you can stay in the States, but just go find some other judge and say, I have a bit of experience in this, but unfortunately I had to move for whatever bullshit reason. I would have probably taken the lawyer's money immediately. She's got so many people on her books anyway. It's not a massive loss. She's got a whole wall of people. Yeah.
Always take the sure thing. What about you, Stace?
I think that she realistically would have been murdered in a scene that wasn't in this movie. And that is shortly after the lawyer visited her.
Yeah, yeah.
A sniper could have just taken her out as she was leaving her office.
It makes sense because they've realised that she can't be bought.
Yeah,
Even though she says to them, I could be bought. They don't know that.
yeah,
But what they're thinking is like, whoever's going to replace her probably can.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest problems with the film. And my final question, were we supposed to be rooting for anyone in this film?
That is a hard question because it does change as you meet the characters. But at the end of the day, I still felt like I was rooting, maybe not for a specific character in this movie, but just thinking that there are potentially people in rest homes like this. So even Jennifer's character, even when you find out she's part of the mob, I'm still rooting for her. I'm like, that's a shit situation. She doesn't deserve to be in that situation. It's a bungled, event that got her in there. It's not because of something she has done or her family directly. And you just can't forget about the first character that we meet, Feldstrom, who is going insane trying to prove his point.
Yeah.
And his mother is still there and she died in care.
Yeah.
So I still feel for those characters and just imagining that there are others like that. All the people on her wall. We don't meet them in the movie, but that's just heart-wrenching to think about.
Hot take, but why is she, Jennifer, not living with Roman? It makes no sense.
It's more that Roman wants to keep her at a bit of a distance in case she becomes collateral and all the shit he does.
Keep her safe by distance.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Which is why they only
yeah.
meet once a week or whatever it is.
But I still feel like if that was your mum, you'd like leave security guards with her, you'd have people watching her all the time. You'd do something. You do something. Certainly wouldn't be trusting fucking Alexei to be the one guy that knows where she lives. You go pick her up every week.
Yeah. Interesting that you say Feldstrom, because while I did sympathise with or empathise with him at the beginning in that whole setup, when he shot her at the end, I was just kind of like, like he hadn't been part of the film. So I was just like, I mean, it makes sense for the film, but in terms of it being like a big character payoff, I was just like, oh, whatever. Could have been anybody,
You're on my level.
Yeah.
You've realised, because you're so checked out of the film by that point, you're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like it didn't really matter too much either way. Yeah.
Cool. Stacey's questions. What do you got, Stace?
Okay, so my first question is about Roman. And were they actually trying to kill him when they dumped him out on the road naked? Or were they just leaving him there to be found?
I feel like they're trying to kill him. It's sort of like me when I come home drunk. They're sort of hoping for a happy accident.
Right.
Don't know what you're going to bump into, and you're sort of hoping for something good.
God, Sam. Okay.
I'm talking about a bucket of KFC in the fridge, Stacey.
I think she would have been happy either way, but I actually think she was hoping he would live. I mean, if he dies, then obviously her problem with that whole thing is solved and she doesn't have to worry about him coming at her for the mother anymore. But if he lives, then, he's drugged up as well and can probably get into his assets too.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I guess I asked that question is because they could have done something different with him, right? Leaving him on the road wasn't a surefire, definite murder.
A solution to their problems.
It wasn't a solution. It was like, it just seemed quite odd.
Which is why I thought it was, kind of more a bit planned for him to live.
Okay, is there any other actors working today that plays a sociopath better than Rosamund Pike?
There's a couple. Denzel Washington springs to mind.
Ooh.
Gary Oldman springs to mind. And then Cold Dead Eyes, what about Anne Hathaway?
She'd be a goofy sociopath.
Yeah, she'd be goofy.
I think it's probably a role that a lot of actors don't try and take repeat work in.
Yeah.
I think just because you could end up kind of like the issue we're facing with this, with being quite characterized.
Yeah, like I was saying at the start.
Pigeonholed is what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like I was saying at the start, it's like she wanted to be Amy Dunn, but at the same time she's tried to play her so differently that's come off just really abrasive for me, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is another one.
Oh, yeah, he's fucking terrifying.
But the one I thought about immediately with this question was Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men.
That's a good one.
Like, very different to how Rosamund Pike plays this type of role, but yeah, in terms of no shits given, that guy.
It was pretty bog average as a villain in that Bond film.
It was, yeah.
What's your final question?
Yeah,
Sis?
great answers, guys. And my final question is, how realistic do we think the guardianship aspect of this film is in America?
I mean, we've already sort of danced around it. I think it's probably terrifyingly real.
You think people can be assigned a guardian without having any representation in court?
I don't know.
That is
I don't
terrifying.
know. I don't know the ins and outs, but I certainly think that the people being able to be exploited and milked for their money, you see it all the time. You know, you see it all the time, whether it's like, 20-year-old girls that suddenly find an interest in 89-year-old billionaires and take all their money, or, or carers that sort of get the people to rewrite their will. It happens in New Zealand. It happens all over the world. But I don't know. It's America. The legal system in America is fucking beyond belief for most of us.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how it could happen too, and you just need an intelligent lawyer or anybody with a bit of street smarts to exploit it. But, I mean, you do need to have quite a few things go right. Having a judge who is dim-witted and doesn't pick up on patterns for a start. But, yeah, like we were saying before, I think you just need to keep the circle small with everybody taking a bit of a cut to stay in on it.
Yeah.
So like any other kind of criminal enterprise, really.
Yep, fair enough. Yep.
Yep.
And that moves us down to our final question, which we decided to go with Dan Brennick of Netflix and Swill, given that this film is a Netflix original. Apparently, we're not here in New Zealand. But we decided to finish on him. Netflix and Swill is an awesome podcast that you guys should all be listening to that covers all things Netflix related. Yeah, they basically do breakdowns of trailers, TV shows, films, news, ton of other awesome shit that you guys should all be checking out. It's just great. And Dan's question for this week is, who do we think was the true MVP of this film? And it can't be the main character. So I'm going to rule out Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage's characters.
I think it's got to be Jennifer. She didn't...
You mean Diane Weiss?
Yeah, Diane Weiss rhymes with... Ta-da.
Whoa!
No, that's that Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference.
It is. Used.
Yeah. Where was I going with that? She doesn't sort of really do anything to deserve it apart from being the mother of a drug lord, who, to be fair though, probably does end up with the proceeds of that in one way or another. Yeah. But, generally it's kind of not her fault in the situation she's in. So, yeah.
Makes sense. What about you?
My MVP is Feldstrom, because I liked the ending. Yeah, okay, we may have not really cared that much about him. It could have been anyone.
We did not care a lot.
But, but he showed up, did the deed. If the movie had ended with her as a successful businesswoman, just jumping into the car and driving away, that would have really sucked, in my opinion.
Well, is that a controversial opinion, though? Like, would the ending have been better if she hadn't died at the end?
Yes. Maybe it is.
I sort of think it would have been.
Yeah. If she got away with her crimes, I think it would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
You think it would have been better?
I thought it would have been a better film if she'd gotten away with it.
No way. No.
Maybe
It's about
American
the only
Psycho,
satisfying thing that happened in the whole film.
It just...
Very good point. It is about the only satisfying thing.
It just seemed a bit too neat for an ending, and a lot of the best films have endings that,
jarring.
More ambiguous or
make you think a bit afterwards. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it did make us think that she should have had some security.
And how you can get broadcast TV in your car.
Exactly. Hey, talking about broadcast TV in your car. I mean, you've taken Diane Weiss, so I'm going to have to go with Fran. The reason why I'm going with Fran is because when Roman comes after the two of them with his boys, he basically kidnaps Rosamund Pike and starts interrogating her, leaves Fran lying on the ground with a head wound, blood all over the floor, and Fran just gets up and shakes it off. You know what I mean?
She's amazing. She's like the Terminator.
Like Rosamund Pike goes in there, gets her out of there, and then she gets up and just walks out. It's just like, there's no way that girl isn't dead. She's been lying there in her own blood with an open head wound for however long, and then the next day she's like, right, we need to get out of here. I'm completely level-headed. I'm not foggy at all. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
As someone who's taken quite a few knocks to his head playing rugby over his time, watching that made me incredibly envious, I guess is the best way to describe it. I thought it was pretty damn amazing. And, I mean, the other one was Chris Messina as the lawyer. I mean, we've talked about him.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
so good in it.
Yeah, he was really good. Yeah.
I liked that he came in for 3 scenes, Chris Messina, like literally, and you can remember all 3 scenes.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like,
it was-
you remember him in the court, you remember him confronting her, and you remember him at the top of the apartment, just like getting shit thrown at him.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you mean, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck am I paying you for?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, now, the more you say it, the more. If we're talking about an MVP being a very effective character,
Yeah.
then yes, it's him.
Absolutely. Anywho, that takes us down to the end. Thank you to these guys for joining us again. The Ready or Not team back again.
Yeah.
The dream team.
Yep.
Yep. Suck it, Machu. Suck it, Liz.
I think I say that for every trio that
If it doesn't. Yeah.
I'm in on for this podcast.
Yeah.
Just like Stacey, you really don't care, do you? It's all fake. It's all unraveling as well. Anywho, thanks again to you guys for listening. Upcoming episodes, we're doing some more new films. Me, Kahu, and Machu are going to see Nobody, the new Saul Goodman, what's his name? The new Bob Odenkirk film.
Yeah.
It's coming out by one of the directors of Deadpool. No, or John Wick, I think.
I mean, that would explain a lot.
That would explain everything.
Yeah.
Haven't watched that trailer. So that's going to be next week's episode, and then the one after that might be Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yes. That's not far away, too.
That's not far away as well. Actually, I lied. The very next episode is going to be on Godzilla vs. King Kong. The We Watch the Thing boys are coming back to do that. You might remember them from Godzilla King of Monsters. Is Godzilla vs. King Kong better than that film? Just wait and find out. Anyway, if you want to get in contact with us, you can find us on Twitter at MovieReviewsIn, or you can send us an email at mritqs@gmail.com. Alternatively, we're just Movie Reviews and 20Qs on Facebook and Instagram now. If you want to follow us there, we occasionally post some stuff, and you can keep sort of a little bit more up to date, given that our schedule changes pretty much with the wind. Anyway, that's thanks from me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, well, I also am giving it a Okay.
You're giving it a complex. I think you're having a complex.
Yes. It's too late for me. Is it past 9 o'clock? My brain shut
It's
down.
just gone 9.
Oh, yeah.
Question number 9?
Oh, do I get to answer question 8?
No. What was the biggest dick move of this podcast? Sam not letting Kahu answer a question.
Yeah. As well, like, I wondered whether if this was something Marla just kind of fell into, or if...
Oh, you mean a question you've got coming up?
Do I?
We Watched the Boy. We Watched the Boy. The We Watched the Boys. That's a very different podcast. Hello, good people. Sam here again. And hey, we've got a very special promo coming up for the live stream for The Cure. We're going to be back on this. We're going to have more details soon. But here's the promo.
My name is Nikolis Haskins, and I'd like a moment of your time to tell you about the 5th annual live stream for The Cure. To do that, I brought along 2 people whom I couldn't do this event without, Gerald Morris and Dan Brennick.
Over the past 4 years, the live stream for The Cure has raised over $30,000 for the Cancer Research Institute.
That contribution is helping to fund research into cancer immunotherapy, training the body's immune system to fight all forms of cancer.
This year, we're aiming for our biggest goal yet as we try to raise $15,000 in 50 hours on the air.
Tune in May 19th through the 23rd as we're joined live by podcasters and content creators from around the world.
With your help, we can continue the fight for a future immune to cancer.
Together, we can make a difference.